good, man? What's good, y'all? Hey, look, man. Hey, you know something, man? Do you know who? Let me ask you something real quick, bro. Do you know who Robert L. Johnson is?
I do not know who Robert L. Johnson is.
It's a shame that you don't know who Robert L. Johnson is. Robert L. Johnson is a black man. You know where he went to school?
I do not know where said black man Robert L. Johnson went to school.
If you could take a guess, where Mr. Robert L.
University of Illinois.
Robert L. Johnson went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Do you know what's significant about him besides the fact that he's a human being and a black man? And I can't speak to his character, but I can speak to something significant. Do you know what that significant thing is?
No, Mr. Mazik Xavier, I do not know what that significant thing that Mr. Robert L. Johnson, who went to University of Illinois, did.
Thank you for saying his name, because we're going to make sure that people remember his name who watch this segment. Mr. Robert L. Johnson is the first black billionaire in the United States. He's the owner of the BET network. He sold that BET network to white people, which is something that I do not love, but I do like that he was the first black billionaire, that he went to the same school as me and my illustrious brother here. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like that that piece of information was not repeated as we are trying to repeat it now as we went to that school. How long did you go to that school, bro? How long did you spend on that campus, G?
Bro, we were at that campus for 4 years each, and never once did I know that.
That probably don't speak to nothing else about society, but that's all I wanted to see. I just wanted to make sure that y'all knew Robert L. Johnson was.
Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Shout out to Robert L. Johnson, man, and shout out to everybody else for tuning in to another episode of the All the Way Live podcast. Mr. Mazik Xavier, we're back at it again with another show, another hot lot of show for the people.
Got him. Getting them. Gonna get them. This is Tenet. We all back and forth with the time zones, but y'all understand that some hot shit is coming, or maybe it came, but you are right where you need to be. What up?
And we appreciate each and every one of y'all for listening in. Listen, it's slowly growing, bro. It's slowly growing, and it feels every week as though, you know, the family's growing. I feel the love of it. So I definitely wanted to shout out everybody that's already listening to the show. Don't forget, man, listen, share these dope clips with people that you think would appreciate this type of conversation. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the above. You know, we keep this content rolling out quite, what's the word I'm looking for? We keep this content rolling out quite meticulously, I think is an appropriate word to use over there.
Carefully curated by my homie Chestnut Tones, and I am Hazelnut Tones. And if these tones are reaching you right now,
wait,
then you are a friend of the show. You might have heard a homegirl jump in. Siri is also a friend of the show.
I did not sign up to be called Hazel Tones is actually the point that I'm getting to.
I am Hazelnut Tones. You are Chestnut Tones.
Okay. That still doesn't make it better. I'm just wondering, because I was with you throughout all of pre-production, and I never once knew that we were assigning each other. So I'm Chestnut Tones, and you're Hazelnut Tones.
Hey, man, you know, we can refer to you as any of your AKAs at your discretion, my G. That's another one that I did assign you. That's how you get nicknames, brother. They are bestowed upon you.
Not like that, though.
I think it fits.
Not like that, though. You don't just introduce me as my new nickname without me knowing that's my nickname is what my point is.
I feel like that is kind of a way that that nicknames get introduced. Well, I bet. So how have nicknames been introduced to you in the past, and what are some of your nicknames that you've had?
You see, I've always came up with my own nicknames because I'm a man that decides his own destiny. So some of my actually that's not even true. So
that's smooth. Hey, that's smooth.
That is so not true. When I first got to Kazakhstan, I get into class and the teacher is reading out the names the first day of class, and he gets to my name and my full name, Zwelake. Like it's African on paper, my name. You feel me? So he sees that, and he goes, he struggles with it. He goes, he goes, listen, this name is so complicated. The only letter I can get out is Z, and just like that, I became Z for over, like, let's say 8-10 years, up until I got to university, and I was like, actually, I've started introducing myself by my full name. I was known as Z throughout all of high school.
We can. I mean, and that's a could be an even deeper conversation. You know, I mean, about the ways in which sometimes, however we feel about our names, we let other people ease themselves, you know, comfort themselves in finding a shorter thing to call us, so they don't have to go out of their comfort zone to pronounce them, right? And we kind of internalize that as kids, right? Because a lot of times it is a teacher, right, or somebody in authority that's trying to call roll call or something like that, and it's just trying to get through the list. So we're kind of pushed into this box where it's like, oh yeah, Z is fine, you know, and maybe you really are fine with that. But I think a lot of people get pushed into that, and people, you know, whose names get shortened who really do like for, you know, to be called by their fully given name. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you felt boxed in, brother. You did it then. Good for you. You a soldier, you know what I'm saying? Real niggas don't trip about that shit anyway, so.
I mean, yeah, all that too, you know. So, all that what are some of the nicknames you
I was
had?
kidding. I was kidding. You know what, bro? The name Miles doesn't really lend itself to like too many nicknames super easily. So for a long time, I didn't really have any. Although I'm somebody who, like, as I was just speaking to, genuinely likes the way that, like, especially black folks say my name. It's more like Mowes, like Miles. You know what I mean? So
wait, you have to say that again. It's like what?
Mouse. Mouse. Like Mowes. And it's like I kind of always just thought that was funny, you know. Miles is often spelled with an I, mine is spelled with a Y. So like there was already
your parents gave you cool
Xavier.
names.
Yeah, for sure. They was trying to put sauce on it. So I never really felt like I needed a nickname. And I was always cool with people just calling me Miles. Now, when I started to go like and be around more white people, and it was more like Miles, and it was like, damn, man, I don't really like the way that hit the ear the same way. You know, you know what I mean? Like, man. So,
how did they say it?
Miles. All whiny.
They say the whole word like this.
Which is like, you know, it's whatever. So at that point, it did start to be like, dang, I wish I did have a nickname, because that sounds trash. So I had like my friends or whatever, still not coming up with a nickname. It just became Miles Xavier, because I think when you're anticipating pronouncing all the sounds, you kind of string them together. You kind of sing it a little bit more. So like I started to go by that for everybody's sake, white people. Get y'all a little sauce. And then so the only real nickname that I've really had that I really liked is shout out to my homeboy Delonte. We used to just back and forth, roasting other, but also just like playing verbal games with slang as young kids, you know, in high school. So everything got shortened. Miles Xavier got shortened to Xavier. I rock with that.
There you go.
Bit.
So
welcome.
So how do you think he would feel about you going from Zay to Chestnut? Is it Chestnut Tones?
You're Chestnut Tones. I am Hazelnut.
Got it. Now that we've got that cleared out of the way, welcome to the show. And listen, here at the All the Way Live podcast, man, how we've carefully curated the show, as we do every week, is to break it down into three different criteria, into three different sections. And those sections are, it's a tongue twister, this thing. Always a tongue twister. Let's see if I can get through it without stumbling. I got this.
Gang, talk yo, grab you that gat, call yo. You know what
Listen.
I mean? We out here.
So we got the stumble upon. Stumble upon now breaks into anything that me and Miles have stumbled upon over the week. This could be conversations, thoughts, ideas, things we've interacted with, things that have caught our fascination, and we bring it over and we decipher it with y'all. And then from there, we go to current news. Now, this is when we reach for the top of what's hot on the news. And today, everybody's asking about that GameStop situation. What's going on with the GameStop stock? Why is it going up? Why is it going down? Who's going into it? What is Reddit? You know, all these questions. Best believe your boy Miles swear.
Yo, I'm just happy you killing them. Like, you went from talking about tongue twisters to like, hey, look, you said the GameStop stock is being killed by Reddit. You know, like you was serving them up. Go.
It did feel like I was freestyling.
MC Chestnut.
Yo, so We're definitely gonna dive into that, man. That's something that we think is some fascinating stuff. And then from there we go recommended and review. Don't forget, recommended and review is where we get to interact with y'all. And today we've actually had some people reach out and tell us some things that they want to talk about. And what we're gonna be doing with that is breaking down our leading actress woman conversation. That's a conversation that we had to finish, and we wanted to wait for a special moment to do it. And we do think that honoring the late Cecilia Tyson is the best way to be able to ring that in, man. So we excited to go into that. Rest in peace to her, a Black film icon for sure. And without further ado, we bring to you the show. Come on in, grab a seat, sit down, man. It's just a conversation between two brothers.
Hey, two brothers. Joe Burger's in the building. Chicago's in the building. This side, the building is in Chicago. That's the land of the Potawatomi people, man, and the Council of the Three Fires, you know? So we got to acknowledge that the violence done to the Native American people that came to this land before us is inseparable from the state that we find this city in, the state that we find this country in. What a state, and the state that we find the world in, bro. So first of all, we're lifting up the name of the Potawatomi people on this land. We're lifting up love between Black and brown people the world over. Intro over. Let's get into them, bro.
Hey, yo, can I get some gunshots? Can I get some gunshots to get us into this?
Shot. We could look a shot. You know what I mean?
Can I get some gunshots?
We could look a shot. You know what I mean? Oh wait, you're sharing. I'm not sharing sound. You're sharing sound. We're gonna get to the point where we toss it up, no matter who's sharing. You know.
Yeah, you know.
In the meantime, we appreciate the patience of everybody listening. And before we shoot a gunshot for ourselves, y'all, hold up. Here go ours.
Hold up.
Yes.
Let the smoke clear, and here goes ours. They are really loud. We might have to turn them down a little bit, but I guess that's the whole point.
Hey man, look, I think if anybody in the audience, if you're hearing that, I apologize if that hurt your ears, but you can't turn down gunshots. That's not what happens. You know what I'm saying? So if that startled you, well then, don't worry. It wasn't real. Imagine.
Yo,
don't hurt yourself.
Right. Listen, over here on this show, we like to open up the conversations that we think should be had, especially amongst men, Black men in particular. And one of those important things is to check on them, my brother. So, you know, I'm opening it up to you to let the people know, dap on in, what you feeling, what type of energy you bringing into the podcast today.
It's cold. It is cold, man. Look, I wish I could turn the camera around. There is snow on the stills of the windows. There's snow on the roads. There's snow on the trees. There's snow on the squirrels. There's snow everywhere. You know what I mean? Chicago is doing what Chicago do. So yeah, man, it's a winter wonderland out here. I definitely have shoveling ahead of me. I definitely have, yeah, but that's cool, man. Like I was telling you, I'm gonna throw some headphones in and get to shoveling later. So I'm in it. I'm the city is doing what it do. I'm dreaming and trying to think warm thoughts. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to be talking to my brother. I'm happy to be talking to the people, man. And yeah, we out here. How about you? How you doing?
You know how cold you have to think warmth? Yes.
Hey, everybody out here in the city feels me for sure. This is no joke. We all question why we live here at this time. And so the only thing that we can cling to is that, man, summertime Chicago is unlike anything else. I promise you that. But right now, a lot of us would rather be anywhere else. Big facts.
Which is wild because last winter wasn't even that bad in Chicago. There was, I think, going into December, late Chicago, like late of 2019, it was slow delaying, and they were actually had some nice days out there. It just goes to show the precarious nature of the weather now.
Yeah, and yeah, speaking of which, I think that even though we're experiencing like this amount of snow, like this is like 5-6 inches over the course of like 12 hours, like that's normal, right? Like I remember as a kid a lot more snowstorms like this happening earlier in the year, more like December, January type time. As I've gotten older, it seems like the seriousness of real winter is pushed to kind of February, at least in this region. And that's kind of unsettling, right? Because I do like, even if, part of that is like nostalgia for, snow, and everything is bigger, right? When you're a kid, everything is more when you're a kid. But I really feel like even more than that, I remember a more thorough winter season, and that just lasted longer doing stuff like this. So, well, yeah, to speak to your point of like the precarious nature of the weather, like I don't feel like even this winter, with only one of these types of, storms thus far, is really even representative of the winters that earned Chicago its, kind of reputation as harsh and blustery. Or maybe that's just game that people that live in Chicago run on people that have been here recently and may not be like, the winter is crazy. Maybe we just
Definitely. You guys are delusional. No, you guys are delusional over there.
sauce. See,
You guys are delusional. It's cold. It's cold. And I do not wish that on anybody. I do not wish that on anybody, man. But that being said, the fact that and thank you again always for doing the land acknowledgements. I always think that's very important. So shout out to you. And I gotta say the same thing on this side. Think about how cold it is over there and imagine it the opposite of that on this side. You know what I mean?
Thinking warm thoughts. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Nah, but it's a great. It's been very gray over here in South Africa. We got some tornadoes and some not tornadoes. What am I saying?
I just nodded my head like, bro, niggas think anything can happen in Africa, bro. You said tornadoes, and I was just like, damn, y'all got it like that.
I got tornadoes on my brain.
During the tornadoes, bro, that must be a mug. You dealing with that?
Listen, no tornadoes in Africa. That's the name of the episode. No tornadoes in Africa.
But
no, but it's just been very great, and I do know that there's some flooding that's happening in Mozambique. So we definitely send prayers to those people over there. Make sure everybody's good. It's been great. It's been raining, but nevertheless, man, the sun shines on us again to be able to come to these people with a masterfully curated show of things that we enjoy to talk about. Man, this space is so important.
Yeah, man, you keep telling me that, and I think I over casualize and just want everything to be a space that is reminiscent of the couch. It's a place of communing and gathering, but also, yeah, I think that these conversations are intentionally important, even as we intentionally casualize them. So wagwan. Speaking of important conversations, are we down to get into stumble upon numero uno?
Bring us in.
Yeah, so we got a recommendation from somebody who listens to the podcast, and we love all of our listeners. So shout out to you. And so the topic was has COVID and anybody's reaction to that in terms of safety made you give them a side eye, right? Have you had anybody close to you that maybe in their lack of acknowledgement, lack of mask wearing, lack of care in terms of where they go, who they visit, maybe, somebody who got COVID and continued to move around. Has that impacted you at all and made you look at any of your friends, people's loved ones a little like, watch yourself?
A little differently. You see, the thing with COVID is that there was, let's speak about it in the peak. But currently in South Africa, we're technically at the peak of it, but lockdown and restriction wise is not as bad as when, let's say 2020, when we first started dealing with this thing, right? And so what I did understand is that there is the reality that COVID is the thing that's happening. But also at the same time, when you think in Africa, you got some people that are, let's say, 6 people living in 2-bedroom houses, and, things that make it literally impossible for people to be able to stay within that same space and stay within the confines of their home. And the only place that they can get out to is on the street, and then you take that and you compound it with the fact that misinformation and lack of resources and lack of ability to tap into information and uneducation, things of that nature. I mean, forget Africa. There was people skeptical about it in first world countries where they have all the access to information. So, I try to suspend judgment in that manner, but definitely try to move as cautiously as I could, and try and hope that people around me can respect that. I think that's what it is. What about you?
So the answer is yes, but I love those people, so we ain't gonna shout them out. I feel you. The answer for me is the same. No, I think the answer for me is more like I saw some people that took more risk than I would take, but I don't think anybody was moving in a way that I felt like was actually dangerous to themselves or the people around them, right? Thankfully. I think it's hard to know somebody's situation, especially the further you are from them, right? So maybe there are people who I don't observe on a daily basis who sentiment in terms of the seriousness overall, I felt like didn't match the seriousness of COVID, but I didn't get to see them moving on a daily basis to know
Yeah.
whether they were actually wearing a mask, whether they were, you know what I mean? So maybe I was spared actually having to make that decision and seeing some of those people on a daily basis. The people that I actually see on a regular basis, some of them were the type of folks where you have to be like, hey, bro, put your mask over your nose. They will have it on, but just like, you know what I mean? And I'm not the mask over the nose police, but I would, I think that was more the general statement. I think that speaks to just kind of most of the people around me were like, I'm going to just do this, whatever, and weren't very like, super, like I'm going to wear it all the time and be very cautious about it. But at least had it on them. At least we're trying to observe those kind of safety measures. And so to at least an extent that I could respect. But I think what's interesting that you brought up, bro, is that you said, and the first thing that you came up with on your end was out of necessity, right? There's too many people in too little space and people can't, necessarily social distance themselves in the ways that would be meaningful for the stopping of transmission. And over here, where we have all the access to information, I would actually say that misinformation was the biggest reason why people, didn't know how serious to take it, didn't know, whether to wear masks, what type of masks, were effective and not. So we saw things like people found out, well, if you have this certain type of mask and you can kind of blow through it, right, it's probably not doing anything. And I think that sentiment got taken to, well, if you don't have the right type of mask, it's not even worth wearing one. So a lot of y'all are out here wearing masks and, it don't even mean nothing. So I'm not wearing a mask, but I'm just like y'all who are wearing the wrong kind of mask, and sentiments like that get perpetuated to become excuses because it is an active thing, right? It is something that you have to do. I've forgotten my mask in the crib or in the car a whole bunch of times and be like, man, I wish I could go grab this thing. Let me just walk up in the store, man. I ain't sick, but you gotta go running back and grab it. And it just speaks to a level of inconvenience that I think people are intolerant of inconvenience. And this has exposed that to the upteen percent in first world countries where it's not out of necessity, it's not out of an inability to social distance.
But and when you speak on the minimum, let's say minimum inconvenience, right? It kind of like touches on what it means and looks like for people to be able to move on. For us, we're social beings, so it's more important to respect what the social norms is than necessarily care about what the outcome is supposed to be. So when people talk about the new normal, like, because some of these things are ridiculous. You'll wear a mask walking from your car, walking into a restaurant, where then you'll take it off and then be seated amongst people. That doesn't fully make sense, but nevertheless, that's something that we do. And if you're not somebody that's doing that, you're seen as an outsider. So there's a lot of primal adaptation and moving on, if you will, that is we're applying to COVID, it seems. And it's fascinating to watch. It's just fascinating to see what people hold on to as like as what we consider the basic necessity required to satisfy the general norm.
And that's space specific, right? There are spaces in which wearing the mask is a symbol of like, oh, you're somebody who, you know what I mean? Like, you got caught up in all that. You think you're really worried about that? Like, we drove from Chicago to Florida, drove specifically to avoid airports, right? To be with my family, my grandparents on Christmas, right? And then driving through there, we stopped to get gas in Kentucky, and people are going in and out of the gas stations and not wearing masks, right? People are going in and out of restaurants, like you said, and not wearing masks, right? And so that sentiment is spatial, right? And it just speaks to the diversity and the divergence in messaging that different aspects of different people receive based on their news feed, or based on what they're fed every day. I was doing some research work for my job, and I came across the statistic that 25% of Americans now get their news from social media.
That's
Their
terrifying.
that's their primary source of news. And to you, that's terrifying, but a lot of people would justify that and say, I follow people, sources that I trust, and I do click and follow, investigate beyond headlines, and I do, you know what I mean, like, back up. I do the research that is supplied by those sources that I trust, but I would rather do that than, I believe that Fox and CNN and MSNBC and ABC and all of those places, Al Jazeera and Bloomberg and BCC, are all corrupt in one way or another, or biased in one way or another. So I'd rather
Yeah.
amalgamate from the sources that I trust, independent. So,
Which is why I'm a big fan of like this podcast revolution, because it opens up space for more people who you would feel are unbiased according to your metrics and be able to open to that. Obviously, there's always the danger of being in an echo chamber, right? Where and that's almost the beauty and the negative part of the internet, is that you can go anywhere and find a community and place where people agree with your ideologies and agree with the things that you agree with, and make that seem as what's supposed to be in fact reality. But there's so many of those different pockets. So it's a good and bad thing for sure, but I just hope that I look forward not so much to a uniformed way of us understanding the news and information that it puts out, but at least having the standards be universal and understanding that misinformation will not be tolerated. So I do appreciate some of these social media platforms that are pushing towards that. I think Facebook recently said that it was going to ban it could have been an ad campaign or something to that sort related to misinformation in order for them to grasp on it. Right now, there's a whole conversation that one can have about the ethics of Facebook and all the dubious things that they do security wise. But the fact is, a lot of people use that platform and they're looking for whatever, maybe even for reasons more aligned to themselves, but to reduce misinformation being shared out. We saw it happen with Cambridge Analytica. Just they're able to manipulate those algorithms. So you cannot hold anybody in this time, in this era right now of misinformation to whatever it is that they believe in. It's like, okay, cool, you believe in that. However, me personally, especially as somebody that's gone through COVID, my rules are different on how I choose to engage with people because of that.
yeah, but again, I think when it's even majority necessity, and when it's impractical in the sense of spatial, like, realities, right? That's one thing. But when it's purely social realities, I think the counter argument to that is it doesn't hurt you to wear a mask, right? Like, and if and even if you do feel sometimes that the mask suffocates you, like, which I think is a strong word, but I think if you are somebody who feels uncomfortable and has trouble breathing with wearing the mask at a long time, I think wearing it as much as you can and taking it down when you can is what the consequences of not doing that are, right? Is we're over 400,000 people dead in the United States, right? Like, we're creeping up on 500,000 people dead, right? So if you just wearing the consequences of prevention that even seems minuscule to you, the consequences of not doing that in mass are obviously it hurts people. So I would say that if you do feel that you have people in your life who are not taking that and have not taken that as seriously as reflects care for their fellow human being, I would say, first of all, whoever that person is to you, because it can be tough not to be influenced by your peers and family members. I would say, if you feel concerned, wear your mask, right? No matter how people look at you, like, wear it. I, as a Chicagoan, as cold as this outside, I'm gonna keep wearing a mask, even when there's no COVID, when it's cold outside and it's snow, because it feels better on my face than the snow hit my face. So whatever, build your own social norms around something as small as that. And if you do feel like you have to confront those people, then like Zoe was, acknowledge all the things that Zoe was saying. Confront them with the love and the knowledge that this person may be more misinformed than they are malicious. Is probably more misinformed than they are malicious, right? And try and reach out to them just from the perspective of like, we're doing this for people, we're doing this for older people, and even if you don't want to wear a mask, just if you care about me, just hold this one on you. Keep this one on you.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
I got one for you. Just hold this.
I'm not gonna lie, this new strain of COVID that's popping up over here is terrifying, and it is doing a number on people, fam. Deaths are piling up so quickly over here. It's a little morbid, and I don't want to talk, I want this to be a morbid episode, but it is important to acknowledge the reality of, how serious the situation is going in on this side, But that being said, we're actually touching on the dualities of the internet, the positives and the negatives of the internet, specifically about the different communities that people can find within the internet. Now, Wall Street Bets, right? Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets is a community on Reddit. It's a community that I frequent, actually, mainly just because of the finance humor and conversation that happens in there. It helps me keep an eye on what stocks are, exciting, how people are trading on them. And it's just, it's a fascinating place for somebody that's interested in finance and the finance space. Now, for a while, I've been watching the conversation about the GameStop shorts pile up, right? And this is where we get into the current news section of today's program, which is what is happening in GameStop right now. Now, what I would like us to do very quickly is either play a video or do a reading, or just read an excerpt from an article. How do you want to play? Not read a video like a substitute class. Nah, I'm always reading. Damn.
You got it, pimp. You got it.
Zoe puts on his reading glasses. I need a drop for that. I need a drop for every time I put on my reading glasses.
Are we live?
That's got to be cooler than that, dude. It's got to be a superhero thing. Make Superman's music play. That sounds like Kill Bill. That sounds like Kill Bill.
What do you want, dude? You want the
Superman?
Wait, it's up to read. I don't have. What does Superman sound like, nigga? What? Superman.
There you go. You know.
I don't have dun 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 dun, dude. I literally cannot drop that dun dun dun. I can't do it. Here. Blaze about to read. We out here.
Blaze about to read, baby. The segment every week that we bring you is where tries to read.
We gotta get the congratulations for reading clip from Boondocks. That's what we'll put in every time we're about to read something. Yo,
that's perfect.
I'll get that. I'll have that ready for the next episode.
Okay, cool. Let's get into it. This is an excerpt from the New York Times, and it says, retail investors fueled by social media chatter have driven up the price of GameStop, a brick and mortar video game retailer that has been losing money. Their reason, got it. Okay, cool. Their reasons for buying the stock vary, but some wanted to thwart the big investors that were betting that the share price would fall, otherwise known as shorting the stock. Trading in other mundane stocks like BlackBerry and AMC Theater Chain has surged as well. Some individuals.
What did you say about shorting a stock? What's that? Shorting a stock? What's that? Repeat that part.
I'm glad you asked, Miles Xavier. So when we refer to the shorting of a stock, essentially what a company is saying, if we're going to put it in layman terms, is that they're betting that the company's value is going to decrease at a particular time. The value of that stock, as it drops, you'll be able to cash out when it hits the bottom or at a lesser price, right? Now, the reason that this is something that has incited a lot of emotion is that companies can take these massive, massive short bets on various companies that they bet are going to fail. And that is like putting an anvil on a sinking ship. Now, granted, we're talking about GameStop here, which is a company whose antiquated method of operation, which is classic brick and mortar that are selling video games and hardware out of the store, when in fact, the game is moving more towards digitalization. The fact is,
They've been cheating us for years. They've been selling us games at $50, and then you come back and they try to give you 3 or 4 cents for that game. When you come back, it's messed up. They had this coming. They had it coming. Yes, in terms of sinking ships, antiquated models, GameStop was failing because it didn't care about gamers, right? It was selling games as the outlet at as high a price as it could, and there was no. It was what it was supposed to represent in terms of a marketplace for people to trade and bring back games and show love for old games. It went straight capitalist on that. And so
yes,
was being left behind very quickly by gaming platforms that are now moving to digital only in terms of how games are distributed to users.
And that's a very important part to bring up as well, Miles. I'm glad you brought that up, because the reality of where GameStop is as an organization in terms of its value in the marketplace is now completely been flipped upside down by these retail traders, which is what you'd refer to as your day traders or non-institutional traders, like the group that, like the individuals that would be trading from your platforms like Robinhood and AmiTrade. So you have those retail traders buying up the stock, which is essentially pushing the value of that stock up. Now, as the value of that stock up, it becomes more expensive for the people that are holding these call options, because the margins that you have to pay for to hold that option eventually end up becoming more expensive than the actual commodity that you're holding. Therefore, some of them have to let go and assume those losses, because at some point, whatever it is, it's almost in the same way where the value of oil prices dropped to zero, right? It's where you had people who were where the cost of holding onto this product is more expensive than giving it away for free, right? Now, obviously, different scenario, but it touches on the same principle of at what point. At who gets hurt in it, right? That's the conversations, who gets hurt in it. And so these hedge fund organizations that were holding on to those call options, anticipating it to drop heavily, were called out, and you had the retail traders come on in, these young kids, which is so beautiful about this whole thing. These young kids came in, bought up the stocks, pushed that price up, bullied these guys, forced them to fold their hand.
So I think another thing, as you pointed out, one of the most important things is who gets hurt by this. And that's what we're seeing the backlash and reaction to. In fact, we're seeing people like the CEO of the NASDAQ, right? She was threatening to halt trading if it seemed like future stock phenomena were being manipulated by social media, right? And so that backlash is because of who is hurting. Now, I think it's also important to acknowledge that this action was more to point out that flaw in the system, point out that short of GameStop, attack the people that were going to be getting rich off of just financial manipulations attached to the sinking ship. But wasn't necessarily a profitable investment for the people buying up shares of GameStop in the long term. It was more to make a point, no?
Definitely was more so to make a point. And I'm glad that you brought that point up as well, because the question now becomes, is GameStop something that's worth investing in? Is it something that you can take your money and put it into it right now? Now, we always advocate over here on this podcast that the basic fundamentals of finance and finance investment is that time in the market will always be timing the market, right? And you know what is always lost up in frenzies of this sort is the adherence to the basic principles of having a diversified portfolio, making sure you're not betting or investing or trading capital that is capital that you can lose, is capital that you can't afford to lose, especially if you're going to do things that are this risky, which is exactly what you'd consider what is happening on with this GameStop share as risky, which actually leads then into the role that these trading platforms play. Because you saw Robinhood take action to hide GameStop share, buying GameStop shares. Restricted now. Today, you can only purchase one share at a time. You know, it's putting on these restrictions, and then that touches on like, is that even ethical? Can trading platforms do that?
Well, I think what's really interesting is the overall sentiment, at least from social media, and social media being a key place to check the temperature, considering that that's where this arose from, right? Is that it's not even necessarily unexpected that after an attack, and I'll call it that, and I will say that I respect this attack, right? You know, as a demonstration of what a collective of people on social media can do. But I think the sentiment on social media is now that, yeah, we exposed, you know, they played this game with stock, and it's an exclusive game for essentially run by and for people with large amount of capital, enough capital. I don't keep saying capital to influence the game. And I think the sentiment of social media is that, yeah, this is what they do. You know, they tell us, you know, buying stocks, you need to invest. If your money is sitting in a bank account and you're not investing it in the stock market, you know, you're losing. And they want us to contribute to playing the game, but they want us to be pawns in that game and not knights or bishops or kings or queens, right? They don't want us to be making moves that are outside the parameters that they've set that allow them to generate money as the people who have been in the game the longest, who hold most of the cards, right? And so I don't think we're surprised by that, but I think the fact that we're not surprised by that, the fact that we don't expect to be given a fair shake when it comes when the commas get different, when it starts to be 2 and 3 of them, right, as the average Joe, I think what it speaks to is a time that why all these, you know, again, the CEO of the NASDAQ and all these people that have stand to lose so much are coming out, is because it's not a situation where it's like, we did this because we want something. No, this is how the game works. We showing how the game works now. So we might find a way for this to be more profitable for us the next time. But we're gathered, we're collective, we're a community here. And this is what communities can do. That's why the word community is so important. That's why it's important to build community, to strengthen community, to reach out to people, because when you have a bunch of people dedicated to a cause, and again, it's important to stress that this wasn't necessarily a long-term financial move for these people, because they were doing it to make the point, they were doing it to expose this flaw in the system. And so when you have a community of people that's dedicated to something like that, you can really make moves. You can show the power of the people, right? And so that's why I think we're seeing this regulation, this backlash, because people on social media aren't like, you know, they aren't expecting things to change off of this. They're like, yeah, now they shutting the game down like they always do. So we're going to figure out what our next move is.
What is so beautiful about this whole thing is, and it echoes the exact same sentiments that you had said, right, is that we've always advocated that things are changing in the world, right? The old systems and the old norms that we're becoming used to, that we've let's say have been bestowed on us, are systems that we understand are flawed, are systems that we don't entirely believe in, are systems that don't necessarily fit into the modern agenda. And our modern agenda is an agenda of responsibility. It's an agenda of equality. It's a gender of did I say gender? It identifies as responsibility. It's
responsibility.
It's an agenda of a better world. And I definitely feel that our generation's push forward and contribution into this planet is undoing all of these systems that don't make sense, that don't work for our reality right now, but also making sure that things are done in the right way. So when I see a strategic play and protest like the ones that was done on by Wall Street Bets, it makes me happy because it validates what we've been saying this whole time about about the inequality and brokenness of this investing system, right? And what it does give people the opportunity to realize is that, guys, it's, you know, despite GameStop, despite us doing this in order to make a point, you can always put your cash behind companies that you believe in and in companies that you think are doing the things that you agree with. You know, like very simply, you could, if GameStop truly was a company that people fully believe in, you know, not, you know, you've highlighted the realities of why their business model is going down. And, you know, eventually, if you ask me, it will be obsolete and things of that nature. But that being said, you could, if that wasn't the case, you could, you know, pushing that much capital, it's easy for people to put their belief in capital behind these companies and prop them up in these extraordinary ways that we're seeing like this, right? So for me, it's exciting to see the power going into the hands of the people, and people realizing that this system that we have of investing and of trading and of stock and the misinformation that lives in there, and these ridiculous positions that these people are taking, and the incredible risks that they put us at. You know, the 2008 crisis was completely based on unregulation from these big finance. You know, it's always the people that suffer at the hands of their greed and their negligence. So anytime we get to poke a hole through it and show that it is vulnerable, it's another stone we're throwing at Goliath, and bringing it down to a place where, in fact, the only companies that are the companies we're supporting are companies that are behind us on our environmental issues, on our social issues, on our governmental issues, and that is what motherfucking matters.
Perfect.
Yo, I think that these conversations are important for us to have because they get at the heart of, you know, I think the question of capitalism, right? As you just spoke to, increasingly we're seeing people with their purchasing power, you know, with their ability to organize and collaborate, being able to hold companies accountable in a certain sense for putting people first, right? And I think we're quickly approaching the point where the question of whether corporations, by definition, and entities that are built to sell products can put people before those products that they're built on, right? And I think we're quickly pushing to see if that is possible. And I think that, yeah, man, I just appreciate you as my capitan and co-pilot as we you know examine what I think is going to be increasingly a conversation that we see come to light around capitalism, around the money making entities that are racking up billies right now, while people are struggling.
It goes really to talk on something that it affirms something that we've talked about all the time, which is that eventually at some point the most important thing that's going to matter is a world where what is your contribution to the betterment of this world. That is where things are changing to, you know. So these systems and strategies and companies that have taken advantage of people and have put people in these you know, that have essentially gone against what it is that is beneficial for the people. The things that they're doing are going to be increasingly become exposed, right? Which is the beauty of what Bitcoin does, which is the beauty of what crypto does, is that it's pulling that power away from that, right? So it's a world that's changing, and we have the tools in order to be able to change it. And it takes each and every one of us being able to align ourselves behind things that we care about and give them the power, instead of, you know, thoughtlessly perpetrating organizations that do not have any care for the people. It is a financial revolution. This is a beautiful time to be alive for somebody like myself, who is watching a building burn that I think deserves to go down. I think the rules on value, the way that we calculate things, the way that we put value towards things needs to be realigned. because as it stands right now, the rate at which the rich are getting richer is far outnumbering the rate. Is actually the rate at which the rate at which people are getting poorer is way higher than the rate at which people are getting richer, and that is an issue because the richer people are getting the most richest that they've ever been now. That right now, there is more wealth that we've created now than there's ever been in the world, and that is isolated to a core number of people. I don't think that's fair. And anything that allows for that system to crack is something that I support and something that we support, man. The revolution will be Instagram lived.
Or at least on All the Way Live. Listen.
Yeah. The revolution challenge.
Financial tools and financial opportunities that are out there. In that ocean is currently experiencing some chop. The guys at All the Way Live are here to chop it up with y'all, for y'all. Thank y'all. I think we killed that segment. What we on to?
Hey man, beautiful stuff. Listen, we have a second. Do you have a drum roll on your pad?
Please make a list of all the sounds that you would like and send them to me.
Superman is number one. Drum roll.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Please, brother.
Miles Xavier, we've teased this topic a few times.
I want this topic to tease me.
And this is why we've never done it yet.
Bring us in.
Leading actresses, man. Recommended and review. Our recommended and review right now is for us to touch on the leading actresses because recently we lost the film icon Cecilia Tyson. Live a long, wonderful life. I love watching Black people live very old, man. It's beautiful to see.
It is, man. It is. This world ain't built for that. And so to see, a beautiful Black woman get to live a life, touch so many people, inspire so much content that we enjoy and love today. I mean, that's an amazing legacy, and legacy is important and not easy to cultivate with the little time that we're given here, and as confusing as the world is. So anybody that's able to make so much art that resonates with people, I think is somebody that we want to lift up. So rest in peace to Miss, the beautiful Miss Tyson.
And in respect of Miss Tyson, what we'll be doing is listing what we believe to be the leading actresses, the current leading Black female actresses.
Yeah, and I think my list is mostly favorites. I think it's tough to compare because you're comparing, performances across so many different generations. But yeah, man, I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start tossing names out and show love? And where do you want to go with it?
I think right now what would be cool is to acknowledge, let's say, who our Black female actress icons are right now, like who we put into the Hall of Fame, and then touch on some of the young guns, because we couldn't go anywhere without respecting, for instance, your Regina King.
Wow.
You did Taraji P. Henson.
Come on.
Angela Bassett.
Yes.
Octavia Spencer.
Get them.
You feel me? Halle Berry. Halle Berry. Halle Berry was my first crush.
Really? Wow.
Beyonce was my first crush. Nope. Leanne in grade 1 was my first crush.
Oh, a real person. She get in there. Not a real person. A person too. That's funny. Yeah, man. Thank you for breaking us off with some of those big names. I think I want to add Viola Davis to that list.
But Viola Davis is killing it right now.
But Viola Davis has been killing it for a minute.
What a career. What a career.
Yeah.
What a career. Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett, go on.
Did you say Taraji P. Henson?
I did.
Too?
Mm-hmm.
Fox. Yeah. Put Fox in there.
Gabriella Union. How would we forget Gabriella Union?
Kerry Washington.
Yes. Pam Grier.
Oh, we going to legends. Yeah, you're right. You're right about it. You're right
Fam
about it.
Gear. Where do we put Megan Good in this category? And does she make your top five?
Megan Good, top five of actresses, leading ladies. I don't think
Yeah.
so, but I think Megan Good falls as one of the most um, universally agreed
Angelic.
on as beautiful females that we have. You know, I think Halle Berry has had some more opportunities to show off acting chops as far as Hollywood, but I think in terms of the iconic nature of just the aura of a black woman, love that aura. You know what I mean? Of everybody
Mm-hmm.
love that aura. You say Halle Berry, you say Megan Good. I think is the name right behind that in terms of just like, yes, I like it.
Listen, you will get no contest from me on that one, and I second everything about that. If we're diving into who's killing it now, I think I have to put Viola Davis first. I think Viola Davis to me right now is murdering it. Her past performance on Miss Rainey's Black Bottom,
Yeah, she's killed that. I loved her performance in Fences.
Bodied Fences, How to
So
Get Away with Murder, bodied it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love how she throws herself into a character, um, and always just seems to humanize these people that are, you know, kind of larger than life, right? Whether it's How to Get Away with Murder, this law professor that is just absolutely brilliant. Whether it's Ma Rainey's, this singer that's, you know, eh, unique in her ability to navigate the world because of her hits and in a world that wasn't so nice to black people, and then a mother and just showing that all that person in a home is as important as either of the other two, right, that just got mentioned, and that has the same emotional range of experience within that home. Like, yeah, she always just brings an appreciation for the character and the perspective that she plays, that she got to be she got to be top on now, top
She
tier.
gotta be. She gotta be. She gotta be. Um, I also have to put in Lupita Nyong'o in there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
My African queen Lupita, man. She her range is very incredible. She had her, let's rather call it her come to fame moment on the slave movie 12 Years a Slave. She was in 12 Years a Slave. Bodied that role, man. Bodied that role. Such a powerful performance on her side, and then just watching her dive into these cooler characters, you know, into Black Panther and whatnot. I love that she gives me black regal super woman vibes, and I like that.
Yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely. Did you say Regina King earlier?
I said Regina King and Regina Hall. I didn't say Regina. I think I said them both.
Well, love to them both. But speaking of Regina King, who also just directed One Night in Miami, right? I think she brings up to me in terms of talking about the new school, Issa Rae, as somebody who is both acting and, you know, creating things that I think it's really arguable. We're finding these things iconic, right? What she's been able to do with Insecure. I think that's amazing. So, oh, also shout out Tracy Ellis Ross, man, for sure.
Oh, that's
While we're
right.
talking about legendary actresses, man, big facts.
That's
Big
right.
facts.
And if we're still talking about people who are killing it, you know, you have to put Taraji P. Henson in there. I think her, you know, Cookie, obviously, you know how big it is, but I love the performance on Hidden Figures. I thought that was great. She is, yeah. I think she's such a
I don't know what you just
Siri.
experienced, but Hidden Figures just reminded me of Octavia Spencer for her roles. She's been killing it lately too. Even the horror look, like Ma, I just think it's cool to see black folks in different roles. But she was also in Hidden Figures. She's been in a few things. Just uh, yeah, just bodying it, just bodying it. Who else?
The
Oh,
cast
New
from
School.
the cast from Orange Is the New Black. All of them deserve a big nod, actually. You know,
Hey, that's
even
not a
the
show that I watched, but I
yeah.
remember how much of a cultural moment that show, how many cultural moments that show had. So yeah, that definitely counts. Shout out to Zendaya from Euphoria, another show that I don't watch, but I feel like is
Hi Zendaya.
cool. Yeah, yeah. And
And
then
Euphoria is a good show. It's a high school show, you know, but it's definitely something that is, you know, you can binge with a girlfriend. It's girlfriend entertainment. There you go.
shout out Nathalie Emmanuel, my entertainment girlfriend. Speaking of girlfriend entertainment, I hope Game of Thrones is. Oh, she was also in Fast and Furious, I think, which also is just a lit look. But I hope she continues to get opportunities. You know, I think Game of Thrones movies, shows that crash in certain ways tend to affect the careers of actors and actresses. So I hope that she's able to continue to get work and be seen. Did we say Tessa Thompson yet?
We have not said Tessa Thompson yet.
Tessa Thompson.
You want me to leave the room?
No, I want her to be in the room. But
Is that right?
Yeah, man. Shout out to her. Sylvie's Love is dope.
Dude.
Sorry to Bother You is dope. I loved her role in that. Yeah, she's just killing it. I love her and Thor. Like, I love the attitude that she brings to the screen, and both the can be, you know, even in moments that, yeah, she's a scene stealer for sure. So
Indeed. And we didn't mention this about Regina King, but Regina King was actually the voice of both Riley and Huey on Boondocks.
yeah, so much love for that. She also was in what's it called? Not Westworld, HBO Watchmen,
Watchmen, that's right.
starring role in that. Black superhero. She becomes a black superhero at the end. Spoiler alert. Sorry, but it's great.
I've always been a big fan of Tandy Newton as well, by the way. She was in Rock and Roller.
Yes, sir. Ooh, what's homegirl?
Kiki Palmer?
Miss Smolier.
Miss Smolier.
His sister. I think it's his sister, but I forget her name.
I heard something about that, but I've never been clued up on it.
It's killing me. No, she's the girl from what's it called? Lovecraft Country.
So we have Kerry Washington.
I'm trying to ask the questions that are responsible.
Listen, man. Listen, man. If we're going into this list, there's a few other leading actresses. Okay, so if we're gonna put in now who we put in our top, right? Let's not top five, obviously all and everybody's number one, but top number one, five number ones, right?
Right now, or what you talking about?
Right now. Let's keep it right now. Let's keep it current. And we've already got Viola Davis, and we have Issa Rae. If we're doing that, then I'm gonna have to contribute to the pot. You said Journey Sommelier, right? Sommelier.
I wouldn't say top five right now, even though, you know, love you, babe.
Taraji P. I'm keeping Taraji on there.
I would put Tessa Thompson in there.
Yes. My sleep, and we said Lupita Nyong'o as well. Boom, that's 5.
Cool. No particular order. Love to our Black queens.
Yes,
sir.
Hey man, listen. I think we dished up a hot plate of content for these people, brother.
We done cooked it up. We done. Hey, we got one more thing for him, man. What you gonna do for Valentine's Day, bro?
I'm glad you asked, man. I'm glad you asked. I'm just gonna make my lady feel special, bro. I'm gonna let her feel special. I think thoughtfulness is gonna win the day on this one. So just try and be as creative as I can be. You know, keep it. I'm obviously not gonna dish out details on this one, but also I'm actually gonna give flowers for my mother and my aunts. You know, I know. That's just make them feel loved and appreciated as well. So I think all the women in my life, the ones that matter, I'm gonna extend some love towards, man.
That's a beautiful sentiment, man. I think that's a message of love. I think that's a great way to approach about a holiday that can be kind of looked at as only for a lovey-dovey, corny segment of like, nah, just take that time to show love to whoever it is in your life that you appreciate, that supports you, that could use some flowers, some chocolate, just a bottle of wine, man. So I appreciate you. I love
Yeah.
you.
What you
I
doing
love
for
you.
Valentine's Day before you skip out of
They
here?
know. I know. We know
Yo, what are you doing for Valentine's Day, Miles? Yo, Miles.
that you have so many options when
Miles
it
is
comes to
way on
choosing a
the other side of the
podcast.
line. Yo, bro.
You know, we done lost my brother's way. His communications is not working right now, but I know that he knows.
I can
You know,
hear you
that we
great,
are
Miles.
live. That we
Who's
are
your Valentine?
Celebrating. That we are celebrating. You know what it means to be black. How good it feels. I wish I could hear his way, but it feels good. I know we would say that it feels good. It feels great.
All the time. All the time.
And yeah, man, thank you for rocking with us as we figure life out in real time, as we figure out, you know, how to have these conversations, how to take these crazy things that seem to have no connections to our daily life. GameStop is soaring, and you know, it's all a lot to digest. So we appreciate you rocking with us. We hope we help you digest that. Peace, love, water. We gone.